It's time for Expert Alert, your chance to ask questions and get answers from experts.
Hey, very good morning and welcome to this morning's Expert Alert here on all of our WLOX streaming services. We talk to the experts about things that will be impacting you and your life. And today, just by the way, before we get started, if you're following us on Facebook and you want to ask a question of our expert in real time, put your comments down here in the bottom. I will see the question and then we can ask the expert in real time. That way you get the answers to your questions. Our expert today, Tillman, good to see you today.
How you doing, Chet?
I'm well. So we're talking about HVAC, plumbing, electrical. We're going to touch on a little bit of these things, but let's talk about. So every time we're here, we're usually like it's frigid outside.
Right.
Not the case today.
No.
Weather's changing a little bit now. I know before Easter we'll probably have another crazy freeze, and we'll have to deal with that. But it's getting to that point now. We're starting to get late into February, so I feel like the coldest part of the season, minus crazy cold fronts, is kind of behind us.
Right.
So it's the gorgeous weather that we were talking about before we came on camera, that's about to start. So what does that mean in the HVAC world?
So we are about 10 degrees above average, right? So you're switching right now from running that heat all the time, trying to keep that house warm, switching over reversing valves, going away from the gas, back to the electric. So there'll be a lot of mechanical changes inside that system. Right now is kind of time just to jump on it, make sure everything's ready for that. You don't want to put a big strain on a system. Huge swings like this in temperature, you know that system's got to catch up one way or the other. So normally it takes our bodies faster to acclimate to these big changes than it does these ACs. So we're just making sure they're there for you when you're ready for them.
I did turn my air conditioning on last night. It's the first
too.
time that I've had it on. And I looked at my thermostat when I walked in the hallway. I have a Nest, so when I walk by, it lights up. So it reminds me that it's there. And it said 72 last night, which is normally what I have it set on during the day. But it's like it felt a little stuffier than normal for 72. I was like, we're going to put that down on 68. It's the first time it's been that low since probably September of last year.
So that's that stagnant air we talked about last time. So the unit hasn't ran. It's beautiful temperatures outside. It doesn't have a lot of air changes in the home. So the air gets stagnant, starts to feel sticky, and the human skin can detect moisture quicker than temperature. So when we pick up on that moisture, that stuffy air, we're going to feel it a lot quicker. Turn that AC on. Remember, AC, the byproduct is dehumidification, but it does pull some of the moisture out of there.
It was nice. It felt great. So also, this is of course, we've also talked about, this is that time of year where folks are going to probably start opening windows.
Right.
And letting air out of the house and letting air in the house. But when you let that air in the house, you're letting other things as well.
Right, and it's based on you then to clean it, because if the system's not moving, then you're not getting it to go through those filters. The filter's not doing its job. You can put it on fan on, circulate the air, and if you have a good electronic filter, then it'll help on that. It'll also tie into your UV light. You can have it running while you're circulating air. Even when you don't need that AC, that setting on that thermostat's got it on. You can turn that on, let's get the air moving, and that'll get that sticky feeling at least out of there.
Sure, and it goes without saying, I've already seen pollen on the windshield.
Isn't that crazy? It happens
like
so
February.
fast. As soon as that cold came out, all the plants said, hey, we're back alive, right? Yeah, let's get going. So, it's in the air, it's in your trucks, it's in your house, it's on your shoes, it's on your clothes, it's getting in the home, right? Your home's your castle. We got to make sure we're taking care of it there. Indoor air quality is the number one thing to keep you healthy, right?
Yeah, and I know it because I feel it in my sinuses. It's the worst.
Right. And then you got to think, if you got kids like I do, then they're all going to school, bringing it back from everybody else too. So having that safe space, that safe haven in your home where you really got clean quality air, it's beneficial to the whole family.
So let's touch briefly. You guys do plumbing, and you're gonna be including this in the plans coming up.
So we're currently reaching out to all of our current maintenance members, preventive maintenance agreement, and we're letting them know that we're doing a free for them complimentary plumbing service. We're just going to come through your house, check toilets, water valves, leaky faucets, things like that. Make sure you're ready to go. Just to introduce that service from Tillman's. Speaking of that, we're about 2 weeks away, probably 2 months from going full bore really with electrical, 2 weeks away from getting the license and applications done. And then that way we'll be able to take over the whole home, one-stop shop. Call me, we'll get anything you need done.
When you say electrical, dive into that a little more. What do you mean by what kind of services will you offer there?
So, carbon dioxide detectors, smoke detectors, electrical outlets, get that burnout in them, especially when you're using space heaters, things like that. Make sure we're changing those out, getting those fixed. Safety, that's our main thing. We're there to serve you in your home, keep it safe, keep it healthy, keep it up to code. I just want to be able to do that on every aspect of it. Tillman's be the one-stop shop. Tillman Services, we're here to do everything in your house.
And listen, when getting those things fixed, you have to make sure that when you're repairing those, these are for the DIYers out there. I'm a DIY guy. I like to find ways to do things myself because then when there's some skin in the game, it feels better. But I know that there's code for things like this, and if you're replacing receptacles, you have to replace it with code, and I don't understand that code, and I would much rather have someone come in that understands the code, that understands the body of work, because if I don't do it right, it's not just me not doing it right. It could cause fire. There's a whole thing, a laundry list of things that could happen if you just miss one step.
So some of the things we're checking for in this electrical services, we see people change their breakers out and they'll upsize a breaker. Well, the wire can't hold that amperage, so now you've made this trap that you're going to put yourself into, which can cause fires. Electrical breakers, electrical outlets being used with faulty wiring, that's a big, I think it's up in the top 3 of houses burning. Dryer vents definitely in the top 3. So we want to come through and we want to inspect the whole thing. We want to get those smoke detectors working. We want to make sure your carbon dioxide's up to date. We want to make sure your dryer vent's clean. We want to make sure your toilet's not shaking. We want to make sure that everything in that house, that castle, is up to par for your life.
Yeah, who wants to jiggle the handle every time when you go to the bathroom?
Right. Man, that toilet,
just jiggle the handle,
running.
it's fine.
No, you forgot to jiggle it. Go back in there now.
Who hasn't said, if you haven't said that, then you're not being truthful with
yourself. If you are saying that, give me a call and let me help you out.
What about folks? So I know that there's when we get into we're getting to that time of year where you're getting back out of the yard,
right?
And I know that there's my house has French drains, and so but it's an electrical piece there, and there's a gazebo in the backyard, and there's fans and electrical. Can you run all of that electrical? Will you be able to run all of that electrical if you wanted to have stuff in your backyard like that?
We'll be able to service anything that you have. We'll be able to add electrical outlets, anything like that. I can get a comfort consultant out there, a home consultant out there. He can design and help you build pretty much anything that's you see necessary.
Sure.
Speaking of being outside, a lot of people are doing their flower beds right now. My grandma just redid hers. It looked great this morning. So I know that when they're in and out, air changes in the house, there's a lot of things that are going on right now. I don't want to really harp on electrical because I think that indoor air quality is our biggest thing right now. I know that because everybody's fighting sinuses.
Yeah.
My kids are fighting sinuses. My wife's fighting sinuses. I'm fighting sinuses. So knowing what it is, where it's coming from, and how to get rid of it, right? We know ours came from going up and trying to clean the deer camp, bringing that back, after that ice storm. So we were all fighting that. Down trees, dead things in the air. So knowing what you're battling is half the battle.
So you mentioned a moment ago the electrical filters. Let's go back.
Electrostatic filters.
Yes, you mentioned if you have a good electric filter. Let's talk about that because that's a different kind of concept. That's not just going and picking up a filter from the store.
Correct. So we talked about that last time. Is how often should you change that store-bought filter? I say once a month with the power bill, right? You get it, it goes away. That's as good as
it's reminding you of how high that bill is. Right? Maybe I need to look at that filter.
Every time you see it, right? Oh my goodness, get rid of it. The filter that we offer is dynamic air. And what it does is it has electrocurrents that run through it, just like your TV, your phone, everything else you notice collects dust faster. It migrates to it. We electrically charge with static, so it's not like a 110 or anything that. It's a static just like your TV. And what it does is when it lets this electron out, that electron absorbs to all dirt particles, any type of pet dander, any type of outdoor dirts, things like that.
Allergens.
And it makes it trappable, right? So what I mean by make it trappable is when you're attaching these molecules together, we're making it bigger. So it's trappable in there. Like when static gets in your hair goes out, your hair's bigger, it's easier to get, right?
I think you missed the memo. But I can feel it like popping all like when you're walking in the house. Like my daughter she's 3, And she loves that. Like that's a thing that it freaks her out because she drags her
On
socks on the
the
carpet, and she knows how to do it now, and she'll just like run up and touch, and it's like, but I can see her hair is like way out here.
And she's zapping you.
Absolutely.
Right.
She thinks it's funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. But the same thing that her hair. It's not the zap that you're getting. It's more like what's happening with her hair.
Sure.
We're just attracting those molecules.
Yeah.
It's really, we get 3 to 4 months out of these filters compared to 1 month out of the others. When you stack that with something like a oxidizer or a UV bulb, it just extends the life even more.
Right. That's great. When we were talking earlier, we mentioned first responders. Let's touch on that again.
So anybody that has a badge, whether you're active or you're retired, you have a badge, we'll service one system in your home. If you have multiple homes, there's a discount on the rest, but one system per badge for life. And what that is I'll do your 2 visits for your heating and air, one for the heating, one for the air. I'll do a plumbing inspection on the home, and that's all in one package. We call it our first responder package. It's for my grandpa, who's Major Kermit Patton with Gulfport Police for 40 years, and we just want to serve them like they serve us.
What if you're a retired police officer that now works reserve for the Highway Patrol and you got 2 badges? Does that mean you get 2 systems?
No, that means you're an awesome person, though.
I had to find the loophole. It means that you're going above and beyond.
You are above and beyond.
And we'll get you a high five.
That's right.
And we'll still discount you on the rest.
That's right. I'll bring you coffee when we come out there and service it.
There we go. So I know we also touched on this before, but for those folks that are watching that may not have seen the previous shows, what if you have a system that wasn't installed by your team? And it's getting to that point, maybe it's 5 or 6 years old and you've never had any maintenance on it. You guys will come out and service it if necessary, but can you then put somebody on preventative maintenance on a system you didn't install?
The 5 to 10 is when you're gonna have your most breakdowns, that age range. So if you put something in 5 years ago, it's worth your while to go ahead and have that preventive maintenance, because now capacitors, fans, housings, wheels, everything's starting to get that age on it, starting to get imbalanced. Let's start checking it and get it right. Most companies, most manufacturers have a 10-year part warranty. We help our customers register those units, make sure they get it. There are some people who bought units 5 years ago who no longer have that 10-year parts because it didn't get registered, right? So we'll also be able to research your unit, figure out how much warranty you have on it, how much life's left on it, and give you the best course of action from there.
Is there anything that we need to do with regard to like duct work as we're getting ready for this change in the weather?
So ductwork to me, or not to me, to EPA should be cleaned every 7 years. You know, if you're starting to see streaks out of your grills, you have some buildup, it's time to get that cleaned out. That's not something that's going to go through a filter or a UV light or something like that. It's already stuck, it's already in there. We have to go in and remove it. So EPA says 7 years. If you see it, it's visible, it's time to get it out of there.
What are some of the things as we're getting into that time of year where it just starts to get oppressively hot? What are the things that we can do now to prepare ourselves to better care for our units? I'm dealing with an AC unit in my car and it's frustrating. What can we do now to make sure that we're setting up the system for aside from having somebody preventative maintenance, are there things that we can do ourselves to make it easier on the system as we get into those hot months?
So the outdoor unit's going to have a lot of buildup on it from just leaves, from pollen, from dirt through the year, through working. You got to remember that outdoor unit is constantly pulling air in also. That indoor unit pulls in air, but it goes through a filter before it goes through the system. Your outdoor unit does not have a filter. So to have that thing cleaned, to have that thing worked on is really going to make sure that it doesn't have to work as hard, you know, because when it's building up and it's blocking that outdoor cool, it's harder for it to breathe. You get fan failures, capacitors failures, you get overheated wires, you get burnouts. Let's take the caps off, the lid of it. Let's take the lid of it off, let's wash it out, let's rinse it, let's get it ready to go. You know, we got, our guys all got soap, foam, high pressure. They'll push through there and make sure that thing's got the best chance to get a lowest power bill that it can, right?
Yeah, and it's just sitting out in the heat, just baking
every day, all day.
And I know I look in mine and there's nothing inside of it, but I also try to remember to cut. It doesn't get to the. I mean, after the the winter months when we're not really focusing on lawn care, I don't let any weeds, because there are winter weeds.
Right.
I don't let them get high enough where it's causing a problem. But like I make sure that it's off while I'm weed eating and cutting around it, because I've seen units that are just like caked with grass and stuff on the outside of the coil.
Our kids draw their names on the coils. Yeah. So it's
Push it in
great that you do that. I'm glad that you have that forethought. And bringing that up, I've seen customers, and I'm not calling customers out, but they also want to be preventive, so they'll take like a window screen off their house, put it over top of the AC, and then put something on it to hold it down so leaves don't get. Well, now that unit can't breathe at all,
Sure.
and your power bill just went through the roof. So some DIY that you see on YouTube is not the best solution.
Right.
Make sure you're calling a professional. We'll tell you how and when to get that thing clean. If the leaves fall in it, that's fine. Let's just clean them after fall, right? Like when they stay there for months and months on end, they decompose, it starts to eat the metal, it's really wearing and tearing on that. When they stay there for a week or two and then we clean them out and we're being proactive instead of reactive, let's let that unit breathe the best it can.
It's good, right?
It's good.
You don't want to do too much, right? By leaving it there, you don't want to cover it and then you're stopping it from breathing.
Right.
If you go too far, you might be causing additional work.
Right. When the solution's worse than the problem.
That part.
Like it's got to be able to breathe. I say this a lot is, you're asking that unit now to run a marathon because it runs all day, every day, but you're trying to do it breathing through a coffee stir. I want to breathe through a Smoothie King straw, right? If I got to breathe
or
through
just
something.
not a straw at all.
Right, just be wide open.
Just open my mouth and breathe.
Exactly. So the more we restrict that, the harder it is for that unit to be efficient at its job. And that's how we save people money on their power bill. Right. It's the small things that people overlook or do incorrectly. Another thing is, we'll put tablets in the drain lines. That's a big deal. You don't want your house flooding, the ceiling falling down, your floors warping. So with our preventive maintenance, we come out, we make sure we clean those drains, we put tablets that prevent that buildup so it doesn't happen in your home, right? Sure. These are big things. We also will flush your water heater for you. We'll just do the small maintenance things that helps that life of that equipment and that home last that much longer.
Sure, perfect. I think we covered it all. Listen, if you have any questions, you see that phone number on your screen, 864-9351, tillmansheatingandair.com. Give Chance and his team a call. They'll be able to answer your questions. They can get out, take a look at your unit, and get you on that preventative maintenance plan. That way your unit is working exactly when you need it to start working. Thanks for being here with us this morning.
Appreciate you, buddy.
We will see you right back here next week for Expert Alert.
Thank you for joining us for Expert Alert. We'll feature more experts at the same time next Thursday.